All right. Go ahead and find your seat if you haven't already. I can't tell. All I see is lights. So, hey, welcome to Voice Church, guys. You guys having a good day so far? You guys get your coffee? Yeah. I heard a really little voice say yes, and I don't know if your mom approved of that. Okay, so, Voice Church, where all the kids get a puppy and espresso. All right, so... hey, a couple of things I wanted to highlight that the host talked about as well, but want to put on your radar and color in the lines a little bit. First is engage. This is super important to us because a lot of times when you're new to church, you're kind of wondering a few things. One, how did you guys get here? What do you guys believe as a church? All that kind of stuff. But then there's all sorts of other things that there's simply a lot of times. Let me explain it this way. I remember going to church for the first time with a buddy of mine, Andy, in high school, and went to a church that was a Catholic church. I didn't grow up Catholic. I didn't know what was going on. And when I was sitting in class or sitting in service, they would do stuff as they went into the pew, as they got out of the pew, the way they took communion. The priest would say things. They would recite things back to the priest. And the whole time I'm going, did I miss a class? Because I don't know what the heck is going on. I'm pretty sure I'm not saying the right things, wearing the right things. And a lot of times in church, we can make people feel that way too. So there is a class. All right, but it's not just like, here's how you fit in with voice. That's not the point of the class, all right? The point of the class is to, one, yes, talk about the vision, values, what makes us unique, and what do we believe. And this is good for you if you've never been to church before or you haven't been to church in a long time. This is also good for you if you've been at another church forever and you're like, well, all churches are like that church. Maybe, maybe not. So there's some things that we may believe that may differentiate from what you're used to. And engage, it walks us through that. The first week is that. The second week is talking about how do we have a relationship with God? How is that relationship with God? And what's the point of these things called spiritual disciplines? Right? Why pray? Why fast? Communion, Sabbath, all that kind of stuff. You've heard these words, but maybe wonder, like, what's the point of it, of all that stuff? Like, if God knows your thoughts anyways, why pray? Can you change God's mind? Can you give him information he didn't have before? Like, what's the point of praying? We're going to talk about all of that in the second week. Third week is discovery of strengths and purpose. So how did God uniquely create you? What are you gifted to do? What are you passionate about doing? There's a reason for that. And then the fourth week is kind of deployment. How do you utilize your gifts, your abilities, your unfair advantage that you have in a way to support the church around the world, not just this church? So there is, again, a very limited space for Engage just because of the space that we're meeting in. So when it caps, and then there's a waiting list. So I think we can fit like 12 people in the room, maybe 15. And again, we'll take care of snacks for you. We'll take care of your kids. All right, it'll be right after church, so you'll literally dismiss out of church. 10 minutes later, go to Engage, 4 weeks in a row. Super cool. It's going to be the best thing you've ever done in your life. Okay, just kidding. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what your life is like. All right, but it'll be good. So that's Engage. The other one is baptism. If you have not been baptized since you gave your life to the Lord, you need to get baptized, all right? Okay, let me clarify. It's not going to save you, okay? So it's not like you need Jesus' death on the cross and baptism, okay? It's not that. We don't believe that, but we do believe that baptism is a public proclamation of what God's doing privately in your heart. And it's a public proclamation to those around you. And for us, so if you haven't been baptized yet, maybe you got baptized when you were little, and then you kind of lived life and wandered a little bit. And then since you gave your life back to the Lord, you have not rededicated or you have not been baptized again. We would love to baptize you. November 4th, it's at a great house in Back Bay at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. For the rest of us that have been baptized, let's go out and let's support. There'll be like little finger food stuff. We'll have worship together, and we'll get to baptize some of our new members of the family in a great jacuzzi, really. It's a jacuzzi in this great plot of land. Hey, someone's got to do it. So we'll baptize them at sunset at Back Bay. It'll be absolutely beautiful. So that's what's going on here. Next week, want to put on your radar as well. We're starting a new series called Love Where You Live. Love where you live, not just enjoying where you live. It's a little bit of a double entendre. It's not only just enjoying where you live, but that there's purpose to your place. There's purpose to where you live. There's also purpose to the position at work. So why does God have you in the neighborhood, the apartment complex, the association, for better or for worse, that you're a part of, right? The workplace, the sports team, the extracurricular stuff you're a part of. Why does God have you there? We're going to talk about that. And what did Jesus mean when he said to love your neighbor? What does he mean by that? I want to challenge everyone to buy a book called The Art of Neighboring. Okay, it's called The Art of Neighboring. You can buy it wherever books are sold. There was a day when like churches would buy a bunch of books and then sell them because we could get like good deals on books. But now Amazon is cheaper than wholesale. So, and here's the thing, I don't know if you read on a Kindle or a Nook or like Dead Trees or what you do, or some of you guys are audiobook people, right? So however you want to get, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to read this book. I've read it many times. I'm going to read it again with us as a church. It really fleshes out this idea of neighboring well. Okay, today we're going to talk about authentic community. Authentic community. Because if you're only coming to church on Sundays, then you're missing a huge part of what makes voice, all right? And one of the deep opportunities you're missing is developing family here at church. There's a lot of places that are friendly, okay? But that doesn't mean they're family, all right? So Costco is friendly, right? Some of you guys are like gluttons for punishment, and we're going to go like Costco on a weekend, and you just like to sit in line, okay? So the pizza's not that good, all right? The hot dog's a good deal, but it's not worth an hour of your life, okay? So you go to Costco, it's friendly. It's friendly. In-N-Out is friendly. Chick-fil-A is friendly. Don't go there today. How many of you guys have made a mistake and gone to Chick-fil-A on a Sunday? And there's the disappointment and sorrow. Yeah. But they're all friendly, but it doesn't mean it's family. Like, I appreciate that In-N-Out's friendly. I appreciate that Chick-fil-A says, my pleasure, here's an extra sauce packet or whatever. They're friendly, but I'm not bummed when, like, they're not calling me about how I'm doing throughout the week. You know what I mean? Like, if I see a funny video on YouTube, I'm not texting that to the greeter at Costco, right? They're not family. See, because you walk into a group of friends differently than you walk into a group of family. With friends, you're thinking about your appearance. Well, depending on the level of friends. You're thinking about your appearance, your reputation. Imagine that moment, and some of you guys, this has been recent, some of you guys, it's been a long time ago, but it still haunts you, is imagine walking into like the lunchroom in high school, especially like you're a new year, and you have your tray, and you're going, where do I sit? And you're like, your pulse is racing because like you're examining the different tables represent different groups of people, and you're trying to see where do I fit in, right? So your appearance, your reputation, you're thinking, how do you come across? With a group of friends, sometimes you think about like, what's the right answer? What do they want me to say? What do they want me to laugh at? What jokes do they want me to tell? And I'll do that because I want to be accepted. You put your guard up, you put the mask on. But family is totally different, right? Picture Saturday morning walking down, if you're in high school and you wake up at like 11 o'clock and you walk down to hang out with your family, you're not doing your hair to have breakfast with your family. It's a win if you're showering before you come down to have breakfast with your family. You're not wearing cologne. You're not putting on your makeup, right? For those of you that wear makeup, right? For better or for worse, they know you. They know you. I mean, you're coming down in sweats, right? For better or for worse, they know you. You have memories together. You grew up together. You have celebrated successes together, and you support each other in your failures. This is family. You hurt each other at times, and then you forgive each other, hopefully, at times, where Thanksgiving is going to be really awkward, right? See, this is support. This is support. That's what family is. For some of us, how many of you guys have a great family? You just have a great family structure? Yeah. So for me growing up, my mom is from Korea. I know you thought, like, he's got a solid German last name. I'm actually not. Shocking. I'm actually half Korean, half Japanese. My mom's from Korea, from Seoul, and she moved here in college to go to Eastern Illinois University, which I don't know why she picked Decatur, Illinois, of all places, but she went to Eastern Illinois University. And then my dad grew up in Japan, came over here for college at Eastern Illinois University, where they met in Decatur, Illinois. They had host families. And my mom's host family was this very Italian family, the Lovelaces. Like, if I brought ragu to my grandma Lovelace's house, I mean, she would just flip tables. You know what I mean? It would just be a terrible thing because red sauce is important. So I grew up actually kind of Italian, as weird as that sounds, right? So when I would show pictures of, like, we would go there for Thanksgiving, for Christmases, for birthdays, all that stuff. So when I would show friends at high school pictures of my Uncle Andre, who has like a beard he looks like he's a member of ZZ Top, has a beard down to here, has all these Harleys, big old Harleys that I would look ridiculous riding, right? No Asian should ride this type of Harley. We just own your zone, own your lane. That's not what we should be doing, right? So when I would show my friends pictures of Grandpa Lovelace and Uncle Andre, they'd go, wait, are you adopted? Like, kind of, because we would celebrate holidays with them because our family was overseas. And I remember times where I would go through a rough time and Uncle Andre would drive 3 hours to visit us in Chicago. I remember times when Grandpa Lovelace was kind of going through Alzheimer's, and every time we would visit him, we'd remember less and less and less and restart conversations over and over again, and the difficulty of those seasons. I remember lots of late nights after Thanksgiving, eating another round of ice cream and pumpkin pie and that whole deal. Family stuff. And with that group of family, you can be honest. You can be authentic. You can let your hair down. And sometimes family looks like you, and sometimes family, you're adopted into a family, right? Like the Lovelaces. I'm not Italian, obviously, and they are not, Japanese, Korean, right? But we were still family. So around here, what you'll hear a lot of us say is that circles are better than rows. Circles are better than rows. In other words, you're sitting in rows. I don't know if you realize this or not, but you're sitting in rows. And we talk about it, circles are better than rows, and we're going to talk about that today. In Luke 17, Jesus said to his disciples, things that cause people to stumble are bound to come. Things that cause people to stumble are bound to come, but woe to anybody through whom they come. Things that cause people to stumble are bound to come. And in Greek, which is what this is written in, the most important words were not bolded or highlighted or underlined. There wasn't that structure. It was the most important words were written at the beginning of the sentence. So if you were to directly translate this verse in like Yoda speak, it would be like this. Impossible it is for stumbling blocks not to come. And the word there for impossible is this word anekdekton, which literally just means impossible. So impossible it is for stumbling blocks not to come. No matter what your background is, it's impossible for things to not come your way that have the potential to trip you up, to have the potential to cause you to stumble in your faith or potentially stumble out of faith. And the word there for cause to stumble is this idea of a trap. It's tailor-made. So here's what that means, is if we were to walk across this room, there's some of you that your thing is around materialism and money and stuff, and that's where your heart, it gets pulled away. Others of us, we go, why are you dealing with that? Like, we're like tiny house people. Like, we look at that and we're like, why do you even struggle with finances? Maybe some other people in the room, we struggle with food, right? To be totally honest, like, we just really like food, right? And that is more than just sustenance. It becomes a protection mechanism, becomes like a coping mechanism, right? And it becomes an issue. For others of us, it's relationships. For others of us, it's insecurity. For others of us, it's drugs or alcohol, abuse, where it becomes a situation where we all have ways that we cope, things that have the potential to cause us to stumble, and they're tailor-made. This is why legalism doesn't work, right? You understand that? Legalism says, I have a weakness, so I need to protect that weakness with a rule for my life, and all of you should have that same rule. It's not true. For me, convictions aren't about me being holier than someone else. For me, having convictions is knowing where I'm weak, protecting it so that I don't stumble. And for you, wherever you're weak, wherever you have a propensity to stumble, that's where you protect yourself. A stumbling block is anything that leads one to act contrary to a proper course of actions or a set of beliefs. That's a stumbling block. And we've all experienced this. Because no matter how smart you are, and a lot of you guys are way smarter than me, no matter how much money you have, I know many of you have more money than me, no matter how young or how old you are or how much Bible you know, some of you guys, we have like professors in the room that teach Bible, okay? I know you know more Bible than me, right? I know that you know more Bible than me, all right? And no matter who you are and where you're at in the room, there are things that can cause us to stumble out of faith. Because I know there's all of us that we go, maybe you came to a season where you're going, I will never stumble in my faith. I will never stumble out of faith. But then something happened. The situation happened. That person did that. That organization, that church did that. That you went through that diagnosis. You got that situation that happened. And then you stumbled. You stumbled. Maybe it's a new idea introduced to you by a friend or a TV show or something you watched on YouTube, because obviously anything on the internet is true, right? But it was a new idea that caused you to, man, if that's true, then maybe this isn't true. Maybe it was relationships. A lot of time it is around relationships, right? I can't tell you how many times in the years I did youth ministry when you're like, or not you, but I would talk to guys and they're like, I really feel like the Lord is asking me to date this girl. It's like, really? How come it's always like the good-looking ones that the Lord calls you to date? You know, it's like, she's not a Christian. She makes a lot of bad decisions. I make bad decisions when I'm with her, but I really feel like this is what I'm supposed to do, right? But so a relationship caused them to stumble. So I'm like, I think you should just come over. We should read the Bible. But maybe it was relationships or a relationship that caused you to stumble. Maybe it's wealth. To be quite honest, in the middle of OC, maybe it's wealth. There's a verse in Proverbs 30. We talked about it a little bit last week, but it says this. It says, keep falsehood and lies far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches, but only give me my daily bread. Why? Otherwise, I may have too much and disown you and say, who is the Lord? Who is the Lord? That there's a way that we can live our lives that if we have too much, sometimes we can think, who's God again? I don't need God. I can just get a better thing. And I feel safe and whole. I just buy more stuff. Or I may become poor and steal and so dishonor the name of my God. Right? Because poverty eliminates options. Right? When you have less money, scarcity brings clarity. That's a whole other thing. But when you have poverty, you have less options. Like, I don't get up every morning and go, which, Maserati do I want to drive today? Like that, I don't have a fleet of cars to choose from. I would like to, but I don't have one. I firmly believe that every person should have at least 2 or 3 motorcycles because you need different ones for different days. That's got to be in the Bible somewhere. I can't prove it, but that's not my life, right? So poverty gives you a lack of options, but the thing is that wealth sometimes gives too many options. It gives you too many options. Or maybe sometimes we stumbled in our faith because we just went through difficult times. By your own design, because other people's decisions, because life just happens, and you have difficult times. And difficult times can ding your faith. Difficult times can ding your faith. So here's the question. Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's possible for there to be something that could cause you to stumble in your relationship with God? Do you think it's possible for there to be something to cause you to stumble out of your relationship with God, out of the church? And see, some of us, and here's the crazy thing, some of us, especially church people, some of us would say, no way, I would never stumble out of my relationship with God. I would never stumble out of church. Careful, because pride comes before a fall. Because when you think about, if I were to rephrase it this way, for those of us that are parents, do you think it's possible for there to be something for your kids that could cause them to stumble out of faith? Do you think there's something for your kids that could cause them to stumble out of relationship with God, to stumble out of church? I think every parent would go, oh my gosh, you want a list? I can give you a list. Okay, then if it's obvious for your kid, do you think it's possible for there to be something that could cause you to stumble in your faith? Remember, Jesus said impossible it is. Impossible it is for stumbling blocks not to come. Because it's easy to stumble out of church. It's easy. It's as easy as stumbling out of the gym. You miss one Sunday, you miss a second. I'm not saying you have to go every Sunday. There are just some Sundays where the best way to spend your day is to go to the beach with your family. Can I say that? Can I just put that out there? Okay? Jesus didn't die on the cross so you can sit in a chair once a week. That wasn't the problem he had. Okay? So just want to put that out there. Okay? It's not about an attendance thing, but sometimes you just miss a Sunday, and then you miss a Sunday, and then you miss a Sunday. And then before you know it, you're going, I think it's been like a year since I've been to church, right? A lot of us have experienced that. Or I can't tell you how many people have come to Voice and said, I haven't been to church in 15 years. I don't know how I stopped going to church. I just stopped going to church, but I'm coming back now, right? It's easy to stumble out of church. It's easy to stumble out of your relationship with God, right? I'm not saying you become a bad person or you stop valuing or believing certain things, but it's easy to stumble out of relationship with God. And all that happens is you just loosen your grip on your spiritual disciplines. You pray less, you read less, until eventually you don't pray at all and you don't read your Bible at all. And again, that doesn't mean you stop becoming a Christian. Here's the thing. I love my wife, okay? I can believe she's a great person, I can believe a lot of things about her, even live a life that she would want me to live, but have zero relationship with her. You understand that? We can become roommates, and you can become roommates with God. That you don't ever talk to him, you never learn more about him, he doesn't have any voice in your life, but you're still a good person. Right? So it's easy to stumble out of church, it's easy to stumble out of relationship with God, but it's nearly impossible to stumble out of community. It's nearly impossible to stumble out of community. Why? Because you're praying together, you're doing life together, you're having fun together, you're texting each other funny YouTube videos and stupid gifs, right? Like this is what family does, because there's relational accountability. Because family notices when you're not there. When you're not at small group, people notice. At dinner tonight, when we have dinner as a family, if one of our children is missing, we notice. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. If you don't come back next week, I guarantee you the person sitting 3 rows in front of you will not notice. Right? It's just the reason why circles are better than rows. It's tangible, it's relational. Small groups are just like family, with one exception. When you stumble many times, we don't listen to family. When you stumble many times, we don't listen to family. This is why it's so important. Look, for us as a church, we have small groups for voice kids, right? So the older kids, pre-K, elementary kids, they meet in small groups. Why? Is it easier? No, it's way harder to do it that way. You need a lot more volunteers. You need a lot more forethought. Right now, our middle schoolers are meeting in a small group because they don't want to hear someone talk for 30 minutes. They'd rather discuss things, which is good. Help us help you, right? So we don't need a middle schooler like, flicking boogers at me or something, or laughing about burps or farts, whatever middle schoolers do, right? We want them out there having an age-specific small group, okay? The reason why we do that is, and here's the thing, I can't tell you how many church planners we talked to that said, why are you launching youth ministry at the very beginning of church? Because of this value. Because of this value. Because we understand that if we can create a structure where kids coming to church, see, I grew up in church, and I saw church as a place where I was quiet, I had to listen, and then I had to go home, right? It wasn't a place where I can engage, ask questions, right? Have fun. It was a place where I listened to someone speak at me or speak to me, and then I would leave and go home. We want a fundamentally different construct so that when your kids come, they go, I have a small group leader. I can ask questions. You understand, every single week, kids are filling out prayer cards. Every week, right now, kids are filling out prayer cards for us as a church, their small group leaders, their small group, to support them in prayer. That is so important because of this. One day, your kids won't tell you everything. One day, your kids won't tell you everything. And you may go, not my kids. They tell me everything. Really? Your parents probably thought you told them everything too. Right? There will come a day in middle school or high school that they won't tell you everything. And it's so important for them to have a safe group of consistent community where they do tell everything to. And it's going to be amazing, and don't get frustrated. I'm telling you this is going to happen. Your middle school, your high school, your college student is going to come home. If they're a college student, they're going to come home to get laundry done, right? Because they're grown except when they need laundry or need food. So they're going to come home, and they're going to say something, and you're going to go, I've told you that for years. And you're like, yeah. No, but Josh, my small group leader, told me that, and I heard it from him, right? And it's good. It's good, right? Because of this value. When we stumble, we don't always listen to family. This is why groups are so important. There's a verse in Ecclesiastes 4 that says, 2 are better than 1. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. Like, we understand this. It makes sense. If they fall down, they can help each other up. If they fall down, they can help each other up. But, pity those who fall and have no one there to help them up. But pity those who fall and have no one there to help them up. See, a lot of times we'll get emails, we'll get letters, we'll get text messages, or now Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, like there's a bazillion ways to get a hold of us, right? And we'll get people to contact us and say, can someone give me a ride to church? Hey, my mom ended up in the hospital. Can someone come visit? Or we're having marital problems. Can someone talk to us? Or we need help with this or whatever. And I ask the same question every time. Are you in a small group? Are you in a small group? And the vast majority of the time, if not every time, the answer is no. And I know the answer is no. Because if the answer was yes, they would already have someone bringing them to church. They would already have someone visiting them in the hospital. They would already know. I remember there was a time when a guy named Paul got in a motorcycle accident. I heard it hot off the presses. I heard it from his wife. Paul just got in a bad motorcycle accident, and he's in the hospital. So I looked up on our church management system, who are the people that know him, who does he serve with, what small group is he a part of, and I got a hold of them and said, hey, you probably haven't heard this yet. It just happened, but Paul is at the hospital. Can you get a group of people together to visit and bring like meals and stuff to the house? And they go, oh, Taco, we're already here. We're already here. Because when you're in a group, that's what happens. Your family. Your family. So I asked a few friends, give me some reasons why you like small group and what difference small group has made in your life, and here's what they said. There's a few quotes from them. First one, small group was literally a game changer. It helped me realize that life wasn't about me, but God's purposes. It has become my family. Next one, and I didn't script this for them. I just literally said, what difference has small group made in your life? And this is what they said. Next one, my small group changed the way I viewed myself. They inspired strength and peace at a time when I felt I had failed. Next one, my small group allowed me to be vulnerable. They proved to me that in my weakness, they would be strong for me. So much love. Next one, love how honest they are. I didn't have a ton of friends. But when I went to small group, I made some of the best friends I've ever had. Next one, it changed me. My lifestyle, my thoughts, my friendships, everything. God used small groups to shape me. Second to last, friendships, accountability, encouragement, meeting needs and having needs met. Man, I could go on. I am so thankful for small group. And the last one was actually this gal that came up for prayer. I was on prayer teams. And then she came up for prayer and she said, will you pray for me? And I said, give me a little bit about your situation. And she was isolating herself from community. And I said, no, I won't pray for you. Because I feel like you're asking me to put a Band-Aid on your cut, but you're going to go out there and keep cutting yourself. So can we commit to stop cutting and give healing, and then, we'll put a Band-Aid on it. And so I said, I won't pray for you until you commit to joining a small group today. And if you join, it was like our first day at church. And it's like, if you commit to joining a small group, I'll get you connected today. Like, you'll be in a small group in 10 minutes. And then I'll pray for you. And so here's what she said. Ironically, now her and her husband are now missionaries in Cambodia or in Thailand. So here's what she said. She goes, I had prayed for a group of godly people to surround myself with when I was going through a really rough time. And by the grace of God and by a little coercion, you introduced me to my small group, and they have rocked my world ever since. I'm thankful to say my small group is my family. My life is enriched and forever changed. So here's why circles are better than rows. Because when you stumble, rows are not helpful because there's no relational accountability. Again, people won't know when you're not here. And then no one is looking across from you and asking you the hard questions. The hardest question you may get on a Sunday morning is, if you could be any kind of animal, what would it be? Right? Like, no one's asking the hard questions. No one notices. Family notices, hey, you seem a little off today. What's going on? I noticed you post this on social media. How's everything going with that? That's what family does. So we have a ton of groups. We have about 8 or 9 groups right now, spanning from middle school all the way up to adults, young marrieds, everyone in between. There's groups that meet all throughout Orange County. Are there enough? No. There needs to be more. But there's a ton of different groups. If you like hiking, there's a hiking group, right? And if you like running, let's start a running group. If you like to wear spandex and go on a road bike road, let's start a spandex group, all right? So you can go do that. Maybe not just a spandex group, but like a road biking group. That would be a very weird small group. So, but I'll have to say there's a ton of different groups that meet in homes all throughout Orange County in different days of the week, right? And I know what some of you guys are thinking. You may be thinking like, I've had a bad experience, Taka. Like I tried to join a group, or I was in a group and it was weird, and so I never want to join a group again. So what? Like, you've had a bad haircut before, right? You didn't give up on haircuts. Right? If you had bad meals before, you didn't give up on meals. Why? Because you know they're important. Right? You're going, let's try this again. Let's try this again. We want you in circles. We want you in circles Because impossible it is for stumbling blocks not to come. Impossible it is. And when they do, when they happen in your life, we want someone to be there for you. We want someone to be there for you. And trust me, you don't want me there. I'm terrible at hospital visits. I'm super awkward and I'm like, that stinks, man. Like, I'm really bad at situations. I'd make a terrible counselor because all my advice would just be just suck it up and let's go on, right? You don't want me there. When I show up at the hospital, people go, oh shoot, Taka's here. Is it that bad? Like, right? They don't want me there. They want their small group there. They want the people they shared meals with, the ones who their kids run around together, right? They want those people in those moments. So it's important that when stumbling blocks happen, that someone's there for you. And when someone else stumbles, it's important that you're there to help support them. You're there to help them stand. So as we dismiss, we're going to go to a small group fair. We're going to sing a song, have some last thoughts, and then we're going to go to a small group fair. I highly challenge you to not just rush out, okay? Stop by a booth. At least just try a small group. Try a small group, all right? Couple thoughts I want you to think about as you go to small groups. One, relationships based on relatability. Relationships based on relatability. In other words, and all of our small groups know this, if you go to a small group and it's just not a fit for like whatever reason, we don't want you to feel like you have to go. So if you go there and they're like, do you have a cat? I'm not a cat person because WWJD, like why would you have a cat? I'm gonna go somewhere else. Totally fine. Let's get you in a small group or people you love. Some of you guys, you wanna have in-depth Bible studies, super in-depth. Some of you guys wanna go, let's talk about like faith and science. Some of you guys want to go like, in light of current events, what does Scripture say about how to handle the climate right now? Some of you guys are going, I want to like run or work out, and I need other faith-based people that we can go for run or mountain biking or work out or something, and then talk about how life is and talk about Scripture and pray for one another. And whatever you feel like you want to do, I guarantee there's other people in a similar life stage that want to do that too. So relationships based on relatability. If you go to a group and it's not a fit, I would almost guarantee that small group leader will help you find another group that's a better fit. Okay? Second thought is this. You cannot commute to community. You cannot commute to community. We are not a destination church. What I mean by that is, it may take you, if you're coming from like North OC or South County or Huntington or Long Beach or inland, and it may take you 15, 20 minutes to get here on a Sunday morning, but try that drive on Wednesday at 7 o'clock, right? Totally different thing. So if you are not in a small group in your area, then church will be that thing I go to that's far away. And it needs to be a community that you're a part of. So if there's not a small group in your area, depending on where you live, let's start one. Let's start one. Wherever you're coming from, I almost guarantee there's someone else coming from that area. Let's start one. Okay, it's really important that we do that. And we make this commitment to you. If you fill out a card or sign up on a sheet, okay, we will do everything we can to help you connect to a great group. And we'll keep trying until we get you connected to a great group. But we are not the church that if you email or get a hold of us, that you're not going to hear back. All right? You're going to hear back within 24 hours. We're going to get you plugged into a group. If you sign up, we can get you going to a group this week, maybe tonight, if there's a group tonight. All right? Can we stand together? Let me pray for you, and then we're going to sing one last song together and then some closing thoughts. All right? Jesus, we submit our lives to you, and we just say, God, we don't want to be lonely in a crowd. God, we pray that our church would be a church of community, of family. God, as people are even, some of us getting anxiety thinking about the potential of going to a stranger's house and joining a small group, God, I pray, give us peace. God, help us to make decisions based on our ultimate values instead of what maybe may be feeling in the moment. So God, I pray that we'd have the guts to push past fear, to push past maybe even legitimate past hurt. And I pray that at the end of our decisions that we'd find community and family, people we do life with. God, I pray do that. Uniquely guide the right people to one another to build lifelong relationships beginning today. We thank you for it. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, let's sing this song together.